Hey, so today we're doing this a little bit different. I'm actually at a model home, as you can tell. Today's video is about buyers, so I figured this would be the perfect spot to go ahead and do it, talk about buyers. So we're gonna go into it. The title of this video is actually, Don't be an unreasonable buyer, or how I like to call them, pain in the ass buyers, because at the end of the day, that's what you are. An unreasonable buyer is someone who asks something unreasonable of you. So in other words, hey, listen, I want you to drive 35 minutes so I can sign that one piece of paper because I don't want to do e-signature, right? That's unreasonable, but you know what? At the end of the day, for the sake of the deal, fine, we'll do it. A pain in the ass buyer is someone who was going to do pretty much most of the things I'm about to go over, but basically it's like having a thorn on your side that will not go away, right? I call myself there, right? But it's like having a thorn on your side that will not go away. So that's what we're going to go over. If you yourself are a pain in the ass buyer or are dealing with a pain in the ass buyer, for one, if you are the buyer, stop it. If you're dealing with them, I'm sorry. And if you're a seller that's actually selling to a buyer like this, I'm sorry, good luck. I hope everything turns out all right, okay? So we're gonna get into it. What do pain in the ass buyers do? What do you do if you are a buyer that's like that? Okay, for one, you have ridiculous expectations of your agents. I'm looking at my notes here, by the way. So you have ridiculous expectations of your agent. So what does that mean? That you are looking for a house that is made of diamonds, that's a one-story in a neighborhood that was built and inhabited by unicorns who drink chai lattes and do yoga every Sunday. And you want all that for like $150,000 or less. Some of you are laughing because you're agents and you've gone through that, right? You've experienced that buyer that is just completely off the rails in what they want. And if you're a buyer and you're not laughing, it's because you've done this, then again, stop it. Don't do that. I mean, in reality, it doesn't serve any purpose to anybody. It doesn't serve your purpose in finding a home, and it does not serve the purpose of the agent in trying to find you a home, right? So it's just something that's, to me, a pain in the ass because it's just something that's never going to be fulfilled, right? What else do they do to agents? They want them to take the buyer wants the agent to take them to 100 houses in a week, even though they won't put forth the effort for 20 minutes to fill out an application to go ahead and get a pre-approval letter from a lender. And again, some of you are like, what? But I thought the agent was supposed to take me no matter what because they're trying to make money and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I'm not going to take a group of people or one person to a house if I don't even know if they can afford to buy the house, right? So putting forth the 20 minutes to go ahead and put the application in will let you know how much house you can afford, and it will let me know if you can even afford a house. Because at the end of the day, again, I have obligations like other clients. The sellers some of them are going to have to be at the properties that we're going to go see. They have other obligations, whether it be to their family or to their work or whatever in life. So it's just not fair and to the agent or the sellers or anybody involved when you do that. So don't do that. What else? Let's just say we find a house and we are under contract and we're in our inspection period, which the inspection period for some of you have never bought a house is the period in which the inspectors go in, they check the house, they check the roof, they check everything, right? You as a buyer can go in there every day if you need to. Granted, does that happen? Not so much because again, people have obligations, right? But you can go in there to make sure the house is perfect for you. That's the moment where you decide to make sure if the house is good. So when you do an inspection, typically what happens is you write up a report, or your agent writes up the report, gives it to the other agent to tell them what they found with the property. Maybe something wrong, like for example, hey, you're missing all the smoke detectors. You are missing all the ceiling fans. There is 17 6-inch holes all over the walls of this house, blah, 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 right? Things like that, right? So what some of the pain in the ass buyers do is that they are completely ridiculous when presenting the inspection results to the sellers. So what do I mean by that? Listen, resale homes have scars and band-aids everywhere. And guess what? I'm in a new house now. I've already spotted a few defects around this new house, and it's a brand new damn house. And there's defects everywhere. So you can imagine what a resale looks like. There's going to be nicks, knacks, scratches, whatever, all over the place because it's a house that has been full of life in the past, right? So keep that in mind. But when you go through a house like that and then you annotate that there was a 1 millimeter hole from a nail on one wall in the entire house, and because of that 1 millimeter hole, you need the sellers to give you $10,000 to repaint and respackle and repair all the walls in the house, that is completely unreasonable. And to me, being a pain in the ass because it's one hole that's 1 millimeter in diameter. In other words, like that, right? And you want $10,000 to fix that. Stop it. Like, completely unreasonable. Like, how would you feel, or if you have a seller or a buyer that's doing this right now, again, if you are the agent asking the selling agent, or excuse me, the listing agent for $10,000 because of that 1 millimeter hole, you need to probably reevaluate your negotiation skills, right? But if you're the buyer, stop it. You know, that is it completely throws the wrong message to the buyer, to the seller. Like, do you really even want this house? You walked through here, you deliberated for a week to then make an offer, to then go through the negotiation process, to then go through the inspection, and you're wanting to point out a 1 millimeter hole in the wall. So it makes the seller question your validity and really if you're going to go through with a sale. So don't do that. I mean, it's just a pain in the ass. Right now, I'll say this: if paint is the issue, right? And I've run into this before. If the paint color is an issue, so let's say, you know, you like darker grays and the sellers have lighter grays, and you want them to give you $10,000 because you prefer a different shade of gray. No. Again, most of the time the answer is going to be no, because that's not the seller's problem. Your color preference, if there's nothing physically wrong with that color or with that paint, is really not their problem. Your preferences are not their problem, and it doesn't become their problem just because you have a contract on the house. So again, that's something else that's kind of a pain in the ass to ask about, or unreasonable to ask about, because at the end of the day, if there's nothing wrong with that paint and you just have a different preference for a different shade, that's not the problem of the seller. So that's another one. Another one is, listen, you're under contract and we're past the inspection period, and now as a buyer, you want to go back to the house 15 times before the close of escrow because you want to make sure the house is right. Guess what? The week-long deliberation, as a matter of fact, the 4 days you went back to the house, the 4 different showing times that you had, plus the week deliberation, plus the inspection period, all that is for you to make sure the house is right. So if you go back 15 times before the closing of escrow, you're not taking into consideration the fact that the sellers are rushing to pack to move. Your agents have other clients. Your agents probably have families. The seller, has a job. I mean, they have other obligations. I mean, it's just completely, it takes everybody's obligations, their times, their obligations, and really you don't consider anybody in that factor, in that equation other than you. And that's a problem. Again, you get the seller to start wondering if he's going to perform or she's going to perform on that contract. And that's another video. I'll do it at a later time because I'm dealing with that right now. A seller that did not want to perform with a contract, a legally binding contract, and wanted to cancel 2 days before closing. That's a doozy. And those of you who have dealt with it, you know what I'm talking about. I'll do another video on that because, we'll get into that. But yeah, the seller starts wondering that. And if that's the case, that's a problem, And finally, hey, listen. Those of you who call, text, email, FaceTime, whatever, your agent after you close of escrow because you're complaining about the house. What could you complain about, you may ask? They complain about details they already knew were there, like that 1 millimeter hole I was talking about. They complain about the kitchen or bedroom or stairway being in the wrong place and how they're going to have to pay a whole bunch of money to remodel the house because it doesn't necessarily quite fit what they wanted. They complain about, the neighbor's dog that came on the yard, went to the mailbox, lifted his leg, and peed on the mailbox leg. And now all of a sudden you never told them that it was a bad neighborhood or undesirable neighborhood, and now it's your fault, and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on and on, right? That is 100% a pain in the ass buyer. That's not my problem, honestly. It's not the seller's problem. It's not the listing agent's problem. It's not title's problem. It's not the lender's problem. That's your problem because you're the one who dissected that neighborhood, drove the neighborhood, looked at the neighbors, you went through the inspection period, you made all that stuff. That was all you. So don't be that, right? If you bought a property and you didn't do your proper due diligence in that period, then honestly, it's on you. If you had an agent that did not correctly advise you on which due diligence to do, then obviously that's a different story. But if you had an agent that was there throughout the entire time, and I'm guessing they were, because if you're texting, calling, FaceTiming afterwards, it means you have some sort of connection there, then you know what? At the end of the day, it's your problem. So, ultimately, look, all I'm saying is be reasonable, know what you want, and know that you're ready to buy or not to buy a house. It's a big step. Think of it like this. It's a 30-year marriage to a house. So if you're not ready, you're not ready. And most of the time, people who kind of do all these things are people who are not ready to buy a house. So make sure you're ready to buy a house. And as a matter of fact, hey, let's start a movement, right? What did I put here? Hashtag don't be this buyer, or don't be a pain in the ass buyer. We could do that one too. Hashtag don't be a pain in the ass buyer. Listen, if you have questions about this video, 407-308-4518, peter@flreagent.com. Call me, text me, email me. write comments, below the video, whatever. Get to me if you have questions about new construction, about regular construction, not regular construction, about resales, about the buying process, whatever. Give me a call, shoot me a text, and I'll keep these videos coming. Like I said, there's another one coming about the legalities of backing out of an executed contract, and there's another one coming regarding sellers. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.